I would say that, Graham seemed to blend in wherever he is. So I think he's the kind of person that get on with the people in his circle. So he's a rounded kind of individual.
I think that's important because some people, they're good at what they do, but they can't fit
outside of that
in different circumstances and socially as well.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit about Graham as a child, though, please.
Graham as a child, I think he's what I would call basically a perfect child. I would call a perfect child. Never had any problems with him. And we are always very close as a family. He was always sort of very good academically at school. He was always top of the class wherever he was, right the way through. I think at his last probably year in secondary school here, he was disappointed to become second because Ram's daughter edged him out. But that was probably a little disappointment for him. He's never been pushed. He worked at his own pace, always been encouraged, but not necessarily pushed. Sort of ask him mainly to do his best, the best he can, and we'll accept that. But moving towards the area of science, sometime it would have been around in the early 90s anyway, can't remember the exact date. We were talking one day and he told me he wanted to build computers. So I sort of smiled to myself. Because at that time, computers not many people had a computer. And I said, building a computer? I mean, I could understand being a computer programmer, but building a computer was a different thing altogether. That's what in my mind. Anyway, I can see where he was coming from, and that his aim was not a mediocre one, but to get to, achieve the maximum, basically. Anyway, we decided to get him a computer. And Pat got in touch with his brother in Trinidad and asked if he could find a computer in Trinidad we could sell for him. And he said he has one that is he could send. So he sent his computer. And Graham and his sister Antoinette, they work on it, and also at school he was doing electronics and so on, and he was very enthusiastic about that and doing the experiments and so on, so that gave me an idea of his desire for science and physics. Anyway, there were his subjects, main subjects at school was science, physics and mathematics, and did very well obviously in those things. And I said he went to England to do his sixth form and move on to university. In one of his reports from his sixth form class, one of the reports that he had from his teachers said basically that he mentioned to them that he was from the Montserrat Secondary School, and in that report said that the Montserrat Secondary School which he attended had to be a good school. And I was kind of proud of that they should mention that. And in that they recommend that he should actually go on, he would be recommended for Cambridge. So he ended up anyway having a choice of universities, and he chose Manchester because that was more into the area that he wanted, science and technology. In that, he used to come home on his holidays, and volcano erupted during that period. We were evacuated on one occasion when I was here, and myself, Pat and Antoinette, Graham, we went to a house in Alveston for shelter from the eruption. While we were there, there was an eruption, and a lot of Plevis cap, from the volcano was falling on the roof outside. Obviously terrified. It's the first time that ever happened, and it went on for quite some time. We all gathered together in the living room, middle of the night, and stayed there. As far as I was concerned, we don't know what's going to happen. It could go on forever and cover us up or whatever. We don't know. Anyway, the thing eased off, and we said, "Well, okay, let's get back to bed." We all went to bed, and wake up in the morning. Pat made coffee and whatever, and come out. Myself, Pat, and Antoinette. We said, "Well, where's Graham?" Antoinette, go and check in his room. No Graham. So I obviously got worried. Only to learn that Graham had left Alveston and make his way to the observatory. He was prior to that, actually, I missed this bit out. He regularly go to the observatory when he's on his vacation. And so he disappear and go to the pub. You know. So I think that would indicate his passion for that kind of thing. For me, I mean, I was so frightened and terrified that there's no way I could have done anything like that in the middle of the night. I don't think I ever mentioned it to him. He probably will hear it now, but we were all terrified. However, added to that, he finished his studies, returned, and was working at the observatory. And there was a team of researchers come to Montserrat. They were on a ship doing a coastal survey of the undersea area around the volcano area, and he was assigned to join them from the Montserrat Observatory. And they encouraged him to go with them to New Zealand. The offer was kind of nice and whatever, but he come back and wrote a letter to the authorities here indicating what was an offer, but indicate that if he's needed here, he would not go. I think he's probably still waiting for that reply, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry to say. Anyway, he went off to New Zealand. And from there, he was exposed to geothermal. He traveled to different parts of Africa, North America, South America, and obviously, and so gained his experience. And come back, participate in our geothermal here. And I think presently still has a link with the team in Oakland, still liaise with them. And that, I said, would confirm, I say, his ability to get on with people wherever he is. He's back home now anyway, and for him, he started here, and I know that, as I said, if he was wanted here, he would not be available anywhere else. And without even asking, I know that he's more than happy to be back here in the position that he's in. And but say thanks to all those who have helped him on the way. Thanks to God for giving me a son who is pleasing to me, and I'm sure to him.
And with that in mind, in terms of saying, if you need me, I will be here, which is a powerful statement and a powerful commitment. What do you think is the significance of having Graham receiving this appointment? And I say that in the context of previous directors at MVO looking a little different, possibly sounding a little different than he does. So he's literally breaking new ground.
Yes, but that is what, as far as I'm concerned, that's what he and I and you are about. We are all about breaking new ground, considering our historical past. We are about breaking new ground and finding our way in life.
Do you see this appointment, this position, the work that he is going to do, do you see it possibly inspiring another wave of youth? Oh
yes, I think he had done that already with his interaction here. He had some workshops and so on where he had got the youths together and give them some stimulation. I think that will continue. And Montserrat is a very gifted place. We have a major problem of not being able to retain the talents and so on that derive from this tiny island. But right now they're floating around, but we don't seem to be able to create the condition for them to be retained. And I do hope that someday that this will be looked at seriously in how we build a society where we don't have to keep on exporting our young minds to satisfy a market out there which already have the talents over there on their own. That bothers me a little bit, but I know that he would make Montserrat proud and he would help in whatever way he can to inspire and others to achieve their own goals, whatever it may be. Because I believe that everybody cannot be a scientist, but you try to be the best you can at whatever you are able to do.
Well, with that in mind, in terms of having a bit of a challenge, sometimes retaining your best and brightest, your young minds, people who are just going outside after starting off here, do you see any challenges that are possible for him being homegrown, but sometimes you have the saying that a prophet isn't respected in his own land?
Yeah, that always happens, but you have to be above that, and you have to set the example. And this is your home, this is your country, and you are going to change the rules yourself and do what you can. Those instances, you just have to set them aside. You have to just go, be confident in yourself and what you want, and you're doing it not for them but for their country. So I think that would probably help you to move ahead and push off those negatives, because they're always going to be there.
What do you see, and let me say it like this, Dr. Graham Ryan bringing to the table, knowing him as you do? This is both the academic mind that has grown, and you've seen him grow, in addition to what you know being his parent.
I'm not sure that he will bring anything new. I said he's been in and out, and he has good contacts here. The people at the MVO already know him, and I'm quite sure, well, from my contacts with them, that he's quite loved by them, as far as I'm aware. And I think he'll be comfortable there. And I'm just hoping that, things, just kind of hope for the best. I don't see I don't want to sort of highlight any particular problem. I think that whatever comes his way, he have to deal with it with confidence. And I think that he should be capable enough to do that. I just want to say that we are proud of him, and as parents, myself and Pat, and he had done us proud, and I hope this continue to do what he's doing and do it to the best of his ability.